This is Bumper to Bumper Radio, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. Bumper to Bumper, helping you and your car feel better. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio. Next to me is Matt Allen. He really doesn't seem to be present in person. I think he's dealing with some health issues, but he's here anyway. This is Bumper to Bumper Radio, heard every Saturday right here from 11 to noon on News 92.3 KTAR. At Bumper to Bumper Radio, we're helping you, the motoring public, have a better overall car experience. It's something we spend a lot of money on, so you might want to know something about it. To get a hold of the show, 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. You can also text your questions and comments to 411-923. We want to know what you guys want to talk about. You can also get a hold of us at bumpertobumperradio.com. The contact link. Tell us topics you want to talk about. You can also shoot them over text. Anything you want to know about cars, the rules are changing about cars. So we've got an old voice on here. He's starting to become a regular, a little bit of East Coast flair. We've got Joel Bartko from Arizona Imports joining us, coming to talk about cars. Today, open phones, symptoms you can't ignore on your vehicle.
Well, Dave, now's the time of year, with the warm weather, inevitably, it seems like there's an uptick in seeing cars on the side of the road broken down or seeing tow trucks pulling into our shops. So I think to myself, could this have been avoided? We see we're doing repairs all the time in the shop, and think, wow, if they would have just pulled over a little sooner, or if they would have come in a day earlier, maybe this or that or the other. So we thought we'll come up with maybe 2 or 3 things that you just can't take or shouldn't ignore. And one of them, I think, is the overheating car is the first thing. If you have a car that's running hot, that's not something that you want to ignore and think maybe I can get to the next exit, or it's not that hot yet, potentially, or even the things that lead up to an overheating car, maybe the symptoms like the smell, possibly. Joel, what things can you think of that we don't want to ignore that might cause our car overheating?
Well, the smell, squealing sounds, puddles under the car, steam under the hood.
Well, yeah, that's the obvious ones. I mean, when you've got that failure, I guess, too, it's let's get off the freeway, or sometimes getting off the freeway maybe isn't the best idea to try and stretch it that extra half mile or so to the exit.
We get the phone calls all the time. All of us get them. Hey, my car's overheating or it's running hot. I'm going to drive it in. Most of us tell them right away, turn it off, get it towed. Don't try and save that $100. It's not worth it. The alternative is much worse.
Yeah, because overheating, again, you can take something. Maybe you had a simple leaking hose or a cracked radiator that maybe was going to be a $300 or $500 repair, and you overheat that car and drive it and burn up the head gasket. Now you have the tow bill anyway, but then you've got what? How many? Several $100, $1,000 repair bill?
We had one just this week. Customer calls up, Camry's overheating, says he'll drive it in. What would have been a radiator hose and possibly a radiator, $300 to $500 repair, $4,500 now, or a new engine, or car goes away.
Okay, so that's an overheating one. And don't forget, too, coolant isn't green anymore. Sometimes it's green, sometimes it's blue, red, pink. The yellows and stuff just kind of look clear when they hit the ground. So
at the transmission shop, we get people come in and think their transmission is leaking, and it's a General Motors or Toyota product, and it's just red fluid. It's engine coolant that's leaking, not the transmission.
So, but leaks are another one, and maybe you can ignore the leak, but let a professional tell you it's okay to ignore the leak first.
Yeah,
right?
which things can you ignore? So if you're taking your car in at the shop and they give you a list of everything that's wrong with it, and they say this is leaking, that's leaking, which items are important? Which items are going to cost me a lot more money if I ignore them? Leaks. Big time.
And it's not quite the time of season yet. I'm sure we'll talk about this during the monsoons, but I've been bitten by this one before. A customer might call, or they pull up in the parking lot and say, I've got this leak, and I say, oh, don't worry about it. They all do it. It's the condensation from the air conditioner. It's dripping out probably over there on the passenger side, right? And they say, yes. No, don't. Just ignore it. Don't worry about it. But then I say, well, maybe we ought to go double check.
Heater cores over there.
Yeah, the heater cores over there. There's other things. It's just like the roof in your house. It never drips where the hole is, right?
No.
So we get the blinders on at times. So even us, I'm saying, we just can't ignore these things because it may come back to haunt us. And then squealing.
Squealing. What kind of squealing? You're looking at me like I knew.
Duh. Well, squealing noises you don't want to ignore. I mean, squeals can come from a couple different places, belts or brakes. So is it doing it with the engine running, or is it doing it while you're driving? Some cars, the brakes just squeak a lot. I mean, we've had emails about that. Should brakes squeak? No, that's a whole nother topic. But if suddenly someday your brakes are squeaking, or there's this squealing noise where you're driving, that's probably one of the biggest ones, Joel.
Yeah, another thing is
where it gets ignored, and then it turns into, instead of being a standard brake job, then you're replacing what?
Rotors, calipers, wheel bearings and hub assemblies.
Well, I think a belt tensioner squeals, like a bearing going, man, and it may come and go sometimes, but you know what? That's a component that's going to lock up. There's a lot of bearings and little wheels and things spinning on the front of your engine. When the bearing finally locks up and the belt falls off, you're going to overheat the car. Again, that's going to happen. That's going to put you on the side of the road. It's time to call a tow truck.
And that's one of the things we want to avoid is having to have a date with the tow truck, right? I mean, besides the inconvenience of it, there's a whole nother
Isn't
page
the most
opening.
common death to a vehicle in your guys' shop a car that got overheated where somebody kept driving it?
All the time in Arizona, people
It's a
drive them a little too
regular
far,
story.
overheat them, and that finishes them off.
And the thing is they'll say, well, I'll just watch the gauge. When your car is overheating, let's just say it had a big coolant rupture. So hose blew off. The gauge is not going to go up because there's no the sensor is checking the temperature of the coolant.
And there's just air in there at that point.
There's just air in there.
And
So
the gauge
nothing-
if you see that gauge moving rapidly, hot or cold, that's another time to pull right over and turn that car off.
Well, the other thing you were mentioning, Matt, before the show was yellow check engine light flashing. So we've talked a lot about lights on this show, and yellow lights are kind of like, we need to think about calling the shop up and making an appointment. Red lights are like, pull over right now because there's something big going on. But when that yellow light flashes, we got a pretty severe misfire.
Yeah, when the check engine light comes on, it means that the computer has detected a malfunction somewhere in the engine management system, and so here's this yellow warning light. However, and that can come on for God knows how many different reasons.
223.
Number just made up, right?
Out of the sky.
So tons of different reasons that check engine light can come on, but when it's flashing, that means the computer's saying, hey, dude, there is a problem here. I'm flashing. The engine is misfiring. You're going to ruin the catalytic converter if you continue to drive this car. So that is one that you absolutely should not ignore. Maybe you can. That's the one where at least you can go get off the freeway or get to the safe place. It's not going to kill it right now. But how long, Joel, do you think before you could ruin
You
a
shouldn't be
converter?
driving with that light flashing. I would get that checked as soon as possible. I've had customers call me up and tell me my gas cap light's flashing. Because the last time the check engine light came on, they needed a gas cap, and now it's flashing at them, and I tell them that's going to be more important than a gas cap.
Yeah, by the way, have you noticed in some cars lately they have gas cap lights now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dodges and BMWs have them.
Yeah.
Why didn't they do that a long time ago? Because that's probably the most common code in a computer when we scan it and there's an issue. It's going to be a VAP code, gas cap code.
Yeah, used to be. I think that now we were shocked yesterday. We sent, kind of off topic here a little bit, we sent a car down to emissions. The car was supposed to go through, it was going to pass emissions with no problem. It failed for the gas cap. So I'm not understanding why the check engine light wasn't coming on for the gas cap not working properly. It should have been caught in there. But there's a new program. They gave us a free gas cap for the car, and we had to sign for it. So they must have had so many people complaining of going through emissions and failing gas caps. But I don't know why and who is buying people gas cap nowadays.
Why were they? They're not even pressure checking them, are they? I mean,
Yeah.
because the car is pressure checking it. Why do they need to pressure check it?
They
I
just
thought it was a
did.
visibility fail. Like they looked at it, the gasket looked a little cracked or crummy or something
I don't
like
think
that.
so. I don't think they want to have that subjectivity into that into
mentality.
that test. Yeah, it's not going to work.
When we come back, we've got RJ, we've got Chris, and we've got Amanda, and a couple open lines at 602-277-5827. 602-277-KTAR. You can also text us at 411-923. You're listening to Dave and Matt at Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Next to your family, there's nothing more precious than your castle, right? Kaiko Roofing understands that, which is why we are crazy about quality and protecting you, your loved ones, and your biggest investment. Don't wait for an emergency at your castle. If your roof is more than 10 years old, have the trusted pros at Kaiko Roofing give you a free inspection today. Flat, foam, tile, or shingle, Kaiko handles them all. From a small leak to a complete new roof, Kaiko has you covered. At Kaiko, we're proud to install peace of mind by using only the finest materials with the most skilled workers, all backed by the industry's best owner's pride guarantee. Since 1994, Kaiko has repaired or replaced tens of thousands of valley roofs, with over 50% of our business coming from referrals or repeat customers. In fact, over 98% of our customers say they would refer us to a friend or family member. For a free checkup and financing options, call 602-944-4600 or go to KaikoRoofing.com for more details. Kaiko Roofing. We're crazy about quality.
It's the Good Guys 5th Spring Nationals in Westworld and Scottsdale, March 7th to the 9th. Spend 3 days in the Valley of the Sun with the Good Guys. Check out over 2,500 classic American vehicles in our giant show and shine, including hot rods, customs, muscle cars, and trucks. Visit vendor exhibits, shop the swap meet and cars for sale corral. Plus, enjoy free fun stuff for the kids. For tickets and details, visit good-guys.com. Good Guys, full throttle fun.
Hi, this is Greg LaFonsi of Automotive Diagnostic Specialties. Long name, right? But we have a short, simple goal. Customer satisfaction is our number one priority, and everything else takes care of itself. Bumper to Bumper Radio approved. ADS is a family-owned and operated state-of-the-art repair facility that has an expert staff that for the second straight year has earned the coveted AAA Top Shop Award as one of the best shops in the nation. Just east of I-10 on Chandler Boulevard. Find us at automotivediagnosticspecialties.com.
My pappy said, son, you're going to drive me to drinking if you don't stop driving that hot rod Lincoln.
Bumper to Bumper on News Talk 92.3 KTAR.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio. He is Matt Allen. And we also brought in Joel Bartko with Arizona Import Specialist in Tempe. He's my neighbor, so whenever I need somebody, I didn't think Matt was going to be here today, so Joel's my go-to guy. Hey, Joel, what are you doing tomorrow? And then Matt decided to show up. You're supposed to be at, like, service advisor training or something like that.
Yeah, I was going to go with the guys today, but I figured it'd just be best to let them go do their thing and not have the boss there to interfere, influence. Maybe I get better participation, so
Yeah.
I figured I'd come in. I didn't want the ship to fall apart.
I wouldn't want you looking over my shoulder, so yes.
I tend to be a pain in the butt sometimes.
Well, we got a handful of texts that we're going to get to, but up first this segment, we're going to go with Amanda in 08 Toyota Corolla at Waddell. Is that her last name, or is that a town?
She's in Waddell. Amanda, what can we help you with?
Yes, it is the town I live in. I recently took my car to AAA just to get an oil change and get my headlights replaced. And then they came back and they said I needed a transmission mount, actually all left, right, front, and rear transactional mounts replaced. And they said it would cost $1,000. And I just wanted to make sure I wasn't getting ripped off.
How many miles are on your 08 Corolla?
I just hit 80,000.
Okay, 80,000 for mounts is not unusual for something like that. There's a total of 4 mounts on a Corolla. There's going to be one up underneath the radiator.
Right.
We would call that the front mount. One back on the firewall, which is kind of close to where your feet are, on the opposite side of that panel. And there's going to be one on the driver's side fender, approximately, and one on the passenger side fender.
Okay.
So at 80,000 miles, that's not an abnormal thing. As far as the price, I haven't shopped it lately, but it doesn't sound out of line by any means.
Yeah, the price is appropriate. The one thing, Amanda, you want to make sure that they're using a factory Toyota mount, an original equipment mount. You do not want to use an aftermarket mount. And if you want to get a second opinion, I'm just not a fan of the Motor Club Auto Repair Shop, so I'd maybe check out bumpertobumperradio.com, see if there's a shop that would be able to meet your needs close by to maybe to your work or to your home, where you could get a second opinion. But that doesn't seem to be out of line at all.
2008 Corolla, Joel. Any more advice?
Well, I would definitely say what Matt did. The factory mount's the only way to go. And are you feeling anything? You feeling any vibration or anything like that that's tipping that off that you might need it?
Well, Dave, we talked about the ask the questions about the repair that we. Does it make sense to do all four of these? Are all four of them bad? Because there used to be the time was, well, you have one bad, replace all four. Does that make sense? Maybe you're going to be doing the timing belt on this car in 10,000 miles, and so we replace the timing belt side mount, which would be one of those side mounts. We'll do that one later. Maybe it's the front one on your car that's broken, so we'll do the front mount and the mount that opposes that. So there'd be certainly be nothing wrong with asking them if that can be broken up. Does it make sense, or do they really, what's broken and what's not, and do they really need to be done? Dave?
I'm a strong believer in at least replace them as a pair. I almost treat them like tires on your car. You buy 2 tires at a time. So if the front mount is broken, well, chances are the rear mount is in bad shape, the one on the firewall, because that thing's been overstretched with the front one broken. So maybe at least 2 at a time. If you can buy all 4 tires at once, it's a lot better way to go. If you can buy all 4 mounts at once, definitely the way to go.
Well, and part of that too is what are the repairs? What's the next repair in my car? And that's why I bring up the timing belt thing. Do you do that mount when you do the timing belt? So
thanks so much for the call, Amanda. 602-277-5827. We are going to go with Chris in Chandler on a 2006 Dodge Caravan. Go ahead, Chris. You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi. I have a situation that's just started maybe a month and a half ago. When I turn my steering wheel, it makes a humming sound. And funny enough, it seems to do it more when I turn to the left than when I turn to the right.
Does this humming noise, does it seem at all like it's from the steering column itself, like right behind the steering wheel? Or
yes.
Oh, so it's inside the car. Because what I'm trying to differentiate, Dave, is and Joel, is it a low power steering problem where it's giving you the whine that's the speed of the engine, or is it that just have to do with the slight turning of the wheel inside the car? And you say it's inside the car?
Yes.
Is that like a scraping sound in the car or like a whining sound from the engine?
No, it's inside the car. It's definitely, you can hear it. It's coming from inside the car.
That could be a possible clock spring, which is the airbag component in the steering column.
Yeah, and so there's what's behind there. There's a spool of wire, basically, is to reduce that down to its simplest term, that has to spool up and be free in order for the electronics in the steering wheel to all work when you're turning the wheel. Those can make noise. We've seen some problems with some Toyotas, and they want you to replace the column, but we've gone in and put some grease in between some plastic parts that are vibrating when they turn.
The other thing I'm thinking about is just that plastic collar or trim that goes around the steering column. And sometimes, I reach around and I grab that thing and see if I can manipulate it and move it, and that noise goes away. So that's the other thing I was thinking she might, because that's kind of a scrapey noise. The clock spring, I'm thinking, goes both ways, but...
That's what I thought about the turning right. I thought hydraulic at first, but she says in the car, so it's a little hard to tell.
Yeah, that's one of those things when you're in your shop next, just ask them if they can go for a ride with you around the block or notice it. It's probably not something that's a breakdown or is going to be catastrophic, but again, we don't know until somebody at least looks at it.
Well, we're going to sneak in Aaron real quick in Mesa. Comment on a gas cap. Go ahead, Aaron. You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Yeah, hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
I was just speculating that perhaps the standards for the gas cap have changed on its leakage rate, but on an older car, it works fine with that system that's on board. So it doesn't pick it up that way with the onboard system. However, once you go into the test lane, they are able to pick it up. Just a kind of a thought.
Yeah, and what they're doing in the test lane is they actually have a bottle of nitrogen hooked up to a regulator, and it's going to, you hook the gas cap up, and it's going to just charge that line and then hold it for a few seconds. We have one of these testers, a Rotunda, out of an old Ford dealership at the shop, and it's going to hold the pressure, and it should hold X amount of PSI for so many seconds and allow a certain amount of bleed down, and if it does, it passes, and if it doesn't, you get the red light, and you need a a new cap.
So he's saying maybe a tighter standard down there on that test versus what the vehicle test is going to be.
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
all of a sudden it went. I mean, you never saw people getting gas caps for a long time, and it seems like everybody and their brother is getting a gas cap.
These emissions are hit or miss sometimes. You can go fail the car, go rip it around the block, and go drive it, and the car passes. So strange things happen in that black hole of emissions land. Oftentimes.
I get a text here. It says, "What about a squealing belt when starting the car?" And that's the belt squeal that everybody relates to. First thing in the morning, started out, it squeals for a little bit, then it goes away. I know a guy he gets service at the dealership. He's gone there for years, and he said, I got some work done, and my belt squeals now when I start the car. And I took it back in there, and they said, "Don't worry about it. It's just not a big deal." And that's one of those not a big deal things that when the car was new, was it not a big deal?
I struggle with that at times because it shouldn't be doing that. Maybe they washed the engine off. I mean,
that happens.
It's happened at my shop. You wash the engine off, now all of a sudden the belt squeals. But when that happens, that was a problem anyway. It was just shame on us for not finding it. The water just made it hydroplane and caused that symptom to show now.
When we come back, we've got Michael, Clarissa, and Ronnie. We've got open lines at 602-277-5827. You can send your text to 411-923. You're listening to Dave and Matt, and today with us is Joel Bartko from Arizona Imports. You're listening to Bumper Radio.
In life, there are certain relationships outside of family and friends that are important. For instance, if your car breaks down, you want to have a relationship with an auto repair shop that you trust to repair your car. The same goes for your doctor, your accountant, and your attorney. Why? Because the services they provide involve health and financial decisions, and it's important to hire a trusted professional. This same principle applies to real estate. Hi, I'm Lisa Henry with Russ Lyon Sotheby's International Realty. For most of us, our home is the largest financial commitment and asset we will own in our lifetime. So when you decide to sell, it's important to hire a professional, knowledgeable real estate agent that you can trust to represent your interests and provide the best customer service available. If you would like a consultation to help determine the value and discuss a comprehensive marketing plan to sell your home, please visit my website at lisareneehenry.com. That's Lisa Renee, R-E-N-E-E, Henry.com. Come experience the difference a great real estate agent can make.
After 14 years in the States, mostly spent here in the Valley, I was getting bloody frustrated with the treatment I was receiving from dealerships on the maintenance and repairs of my vehicles. I finally reached out to a friend who told me I was crazy not to try Virginia Auto Service. Being a mom with a busy schedule, children, and work, I took my friend's advice and gave Virginia a try. What a refreshing difference. From the first step through their doors, their staff was accommodating and understanding. Robert explained in plain English what I needed to have done, but also why. They went out of their way to make sure that the experience was convenient, with door-to-door shuttle service by a lovely man named Bergie. Several years and a number of visits later, the experience is always the same. They tell me what is necessary right now and what is not. This is Victoria, and I don't know much about cars, but I do know that from boot to bonnet, Virginia Auto Service knows how to take care of their customers. Check them out online at virginiaautoservice.com.
Hi, I'm Scott, General Manager with Whitey's Auto Repair here in South Scottsdale. We built a reputation for quality auto service and repair for over 45 years, and our customers have come to trust us for our recommendations. We value that trust, and that's why when it comes to transmissions, for the past several decades, we have been recommending Tri-City Transmission. They have yet to disappoint. I feel so strongly about it, I wouldn't go anywhere else. Why would you? Google them online today at tricitytransmission.com. Go where the pros go. Tri-City Transmission.
It's the Good Guys 5th Spring Nationals in Westworld in Scottsdale, March 7th through the 9th. Bring the whole family and watch the tire-screeching Good Guys Autocross racing competition. Or test your own skills in vehicle and compete on the course yourself. And bring out those late models on Sunday, March 9th for the All-American Sunday celebration. Open to all years of American-made and powered vehicles. For tickets and details, visit good-guys.com. Good Guys, full throttle fun.
Ouch! Being out of tune is no fun, and maybe even a little painful. Hi, this is Lee Weatherby, owner of Accurate Automotive in Mesa. At Accurate, we are a family-owned and operated one-stop automotive repair shop that specializes in building long-term relationships that are in tune with your needs, not ours. We've been recognized nationally as one of the top shops in the country, but for over 20 years, our priority has stayed focused on providing quality automotive service and repair at a fair price. I invite you to come in and see the difference an in-tune relationship can make for you and your car. With our free courtesy inspection, a $49 value, we feel it is well worth our investment in you because we believe good long-term relationships start early with your first walk through our doors. Accurate Automotive, home of friends serving friends, just off Broadway and Robson in Mesa since 1992. For more information, check us out online at AccurateAutomotiveAZ.com today.
Bumper to Bumper on News Talk 92.3 KTAR.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and we brought in Joel Bartko from Arizona Imports to help us help you with your car. Here every Saturday from 11 to noon right here on News Talk 92.3 KTAR. You can also find us at bumper2bumperradio.com. That's bumperradio.com. There's a contact link. You can find us there. You can find great shops as well as Joel at Arizona Imports shop. These are shops that are hand-picked across the valley, shops that Matt and I feel comfortable with. Anyhow, we've got some text.
I'm teasing Dave already.
Oh, man. Matt's got something for me today. I'm probably due because I've been picking on him a lot lately. We had an email or a text, Joel, from a guy on a Sentra, 115,000 miles. He's due for spark plugs. Should he change them? The car runs great, accelerates great. If it's working, why should he do them?
Well, those spark plugs wear out. They're going to get all carboned up, and you do need to change them. I would probably change them around 90,000 miles. I would use NGK factory-style spark plugs. It's going to help with your fuel economy, startup. And if you wait much longer, they're hard to get out because they get all carboned up underneath.
Well, guess what happens, though, when that spark plug goes bad, Joel? What do we get? The flashing check engine
light and the misfire, and then catalytic converter damage eventually.
Right, exactly. And then what else, though? That thing's got to fire that big wide gap. It's using up the ignition coil, putting maybe some extra stress on the coil boot. I think that has 4 coil on plug on that one.
Yeah. Well, it's just routine maintenance that needs to be done, and if you maintain your car, you're going to get a lot longer life out of it than if you don't, and eventually you'll spend less money than if you didn't maintain it.
Pay now some or pay more later. It's pretty much the way it goes on some of these repairs. We also had a Honda Element guy had a question on a couple of upper radiator hoses, and it sounded like a mount.
Yeah, 2 or 3 different things. The car had 60,000 miles. Wanted to know if the prices seemed to be appropriate, and everything did. I responded to the text, but yeah, everything was in order. But I would say probably get a second. Maybe it's due for a second opinion. If you don't have a relationship with that dealership that you were in, it's again, we always say the most expensive repair is the one you didn't need. So let's make sure we need it before we spend the money.
And then I'm going to hit one more, and then we'll get to the phones. On a Toyota Avalon, his question was, it was a late model, 2005, 2007, something like that. Transmission service, 85,000 miles. Is an indie shop he referred to, capable of doing the service. I think he means independent auto repair shop. And do I need to use Toyota fluid? Absolutely need to use Toyota fluid. So there's Toyota T4, which would be earlier in the 2000s, and then the WS, which is the later model stuff. Whatever the car came with, that's the fluid we want to use in that thing. And we do want to do a service on it. And this is one of those things where the factory is not recommending a lot of transmission service on these things. And the biggest problems we see at a transmission shop is the valve bodies wearing out. And I think the valve bodies wear out just from fluid that's deteriorated with a lot of dissolved solids in it, that it just works like little sandpaper and just kind of wears those valves out. So
isn't it lifetime fluid?
Lifetime of what?
That's what I always wanted to know.
So I'm totally in disagreement with the lack of service intervals on that thing. You know, if you're going to service it every 30 or 50,000 miles, I think, on the light side, that's sufficient. We tend to be more aggressive than that on a transmission that's already been rebuilt or remanufactured. But don't ignore that one at all.
Yeah, and don't go cheap on the fluid, especially if we're not doing it that often anyway. Spend a little bit more, make sure it's right. But that doesn't mean go to the deal or go to Toyota to get the factory fluid. go to your repair shop or go to your Tri-City Transmission if you're using a transmission specialty shop, and just ask them or tell them, I want to make sure you're using the factory fluid, right?
And I can't absolutely, I don't like sometimes the advice people get from people that have never taken apart a transmission. You know, have you ever been on the inside? Have you ever seen what wears out? That's what we see every day. We take them apart all the time. So we know what happens, and that comes from experience. We're going to go with Clarissa in Phoenix on a 2004 Subaru Impreza. Go ahead, Clarissa. You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi. Okay, so it's an 04 Subaru Impreza. Has 93,000 miles on there. And my problem is every time I make a left turn, when I'm going slow, there's a clunkiness on my right side of my wheel. And then now when I'm accelerating, when I'm on the freeway and I'm going fast straight, I hear like a rubbing noise. I took it to two mechanics, and they both said it's not the CD joint, and they can't find what the issue is.
So before you started having this symptom, and we may want to go over that symptom with you one more time, had you had any work done prior on the car? Or recently? I'm sure it's had work prior, but within the 30 days preceding when you first started noticing this, had anything been done in the car?
The only thing I can think of is my cousin changed my brakes out and my rotors, and one of the first mechanics said that maybe the brake was, I don't know if I'm going to get this right, but the brake was a little bit loose, so he greased the brakes, and the noise seemed to go away for a day, and then after that it came back.
Okay. Well, Joel, I'm looking hard down there at that brake area to make sure everything's put together right. Maybe a backing plate that's bent?
I'd be thinking the same thing, but I think you need to get someone with a fresh set of eyes to look at that car, a professional, because if this is a noise and it just by changing something on the brakes, change something, somebody needs to look at it. Somebody should be able to fix it. Maybe you're just not going to the right place at this time.
I have a Subaru in my shop. The guy was so mad. He went to an auto repair shop for a noise, and they fixed a whole bunch of stuff. AC compressor, they did a fan clutch, they did all kinds of stuff. $1,400 later, picks his car up. He's got exactly the same noise going on. So he's he's fuming. If you have a noise in your car and you really want to get it fixed, you got to find a technician that's going to jump in the car and go for a nice long ride with you. Clarissa, I see you're in Phoenix. You know, one of my favorite shops is Virginia Auto Service in Central Phoenix. Go there, see Matt, Tim, or Robert. Get those guys in the car with you. Go for a ride. You know, they're going to listen for the noise so they can hear what you're hearing. Put it up in the air. And they'll take you out in the shop and show you, hey, this is where we're hearing the noise, and here's what it is. It might be something stupid like a piece of plastic rubbing up against the wheel, or, you know, a brake caliper that's loose. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a car in our shop right now, Dave. It was one of these cases of the neighbor did the brake work for them, and they brought it back in because there was a light on. But actually, by the time we got to the car, they didn't put the bolts in. The whole front left wheel area of the car is falling apart. That's one of the risks, and it's a huge risk you take having the friend or neighbor or the friend of a friend of Ferris Bueller's work on the car is
if you just put the car in the air and run the tires backwards, the mileage comes off.
Yeah, right. Huh? The Ferrari.
I loved that car. So thanks so much for the call, Clarissa. We're going to go with Michael in Phoenix on a 1996 GMC Jimmy with a 4.3 liter. Go ahead, Michael. You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hi, you guys. Thanks for taking my call. This is actually my son's Jimmy, and it's got 125,000 miles on it. And it all started with an error code for cylinder number 5 misfiring. So he took it to a shop, and they diagnosed it as fuel injectors. So he put fuel injectors in it and went back to the shop. It still does that. And the shop said, well, we'll work on it here. And, of course, they started with the plugs, which he already done, but new plugs, wires, cap, rotor. There's an ignition thing inside the coil or whatever. But anyway, he still has the same problem. They ran all kinds of leak tests on it, every kind of test you can imagine. And it still does it. He's getting a P0300 code random misfiring now. Even put a new distributor in it.
There's not much left.
Yeah, there's not much less. I guess maybe I'd be looking at a compression test.
I would say compression test. Start back with your basics.
Sitting and also running. It's all within specs. everything's within specs. My son's about to pull the heads off and just have a head valve job done on them.
I wouldn't do that at this point. You need someone to properly diagnose that and not just be throwing parts at it at this point. Someone needs to get in it and knows what they're doing. I think that's the injector with the single injector with the spider on it. I've seen them leak inside. I've seen the pressure regulators go bad. That's all speculation. Someone's not diagnosing that properly at this point.
Yeah, something's getting missed, and that brings up that first part of the conversation brings up something I can't stand doing, and we won't do it. Actually, is I diagnose it and you go fix it. That doesn't work. I mean, if I diagnose it, which we want to actually do testing before we come to a conclusion, which is then you have a diagnosis. But I want to test, I want to fix, and I want to confirm. I don't know that he fixed that right. I don't know that he didn't put something together wrong, or his definition, or maybe he went to the Acme Auto Parts and got the $1.98 fuel injector unit that the thing was probably never good the day it left the factory rebuilt. So there's a lot of variables there, and that's a tough one.
I would say, this business is absolutely hard. So, a lot of cars come in, and it's what we call a pattern failure, and they're relatively easily figured out. Every now and then we get thrown for a loop. Matt had a car in his shop where the trunk latch didn't work, and he was like scratching his head. So he calls up Joel and he says, "Man, I got this car and the trunk latch doesn't work." And Joel says, "I know this is going to sound weird. You just got to trust me, but you're going to have to fix that passenger door handle. Go replace that, and that's going to fix the trunk latch."
Which, by the way, had nothing wrong with it. So, luckily, Joel spent the 3 hours. We spent 3 hours trying to figure this out. Where Joel had already been down that road.
And Joel had already won that T-shirt because he got a vehicle from the dealership where they couldn't make the trunk latch work. So this is a hard business. And the next thing I go to is that, there's doctors that finish top of their class and doctors that just barely eke through, but they're still doctors. And the funny thing is, if we put a little round name patch on our shirt, we're all still technicians. But there's good ones and there's bad ones.
Also, new and rebuilt doesn't always mean good.
Oh, no, not at all.
Oh, yeah.
Rebuilt, paint it blue and call it new, one of those, or
well, yeah, you have a problem, you put in a new part, and you think it's going to fix it, and it doesn't fix it, and you're scratching your head. You go, I know I diagnosed that right. That had to be it. And if you're confident enough, you go, you know what, the one I bought is defective, and so you go ahead and replace that one, and that was the problem. But so sometimes we just assume because we put a new part on there, that's a good part.
You know what happens when you assume out there.
Right. When we come back, we've got Michael, Frank, Richard, and Ronnie, 602-277-5827. You're listening to Bumper Radio.
The road to the LPGA begins here in Mesa this weekend as the LPGA Symetric Tour kicks off the season with the Visit Mesa Gateway Classic at Longbow Golf Club. Witness the future stars of the LPGA, including many past and present Big Break cast members, as they strive to take an early lead in the Volvic race for the card. Admission is free, so don't miss getting inside the ropes. Friday, February 21st through Sunday, February 23rd at Longbow Golf Club. Go to visitmesagatewayclassic.com for tournament information.
There's nothing more important than family. Hi, Kurt Rock for Kurt's Auto Repair. Family owned and operated and Bumper to Bumper Radio preferred. We've been taking care of Valley families and their auto care needs with a perfect Better Business record for over 27 years. Come experience the difference our ASE Master Techs can make for you and your family at Kurt's Auto Repair. Just east of I-17 at 22nd Avenue and Bell Road, or online at mycarhurts.com. Gas or diesel, foreign or domestic. If your car hurts, take it to Kurt's.
After an auto accident, make your first call the right call to New Image Paint and Body. Hi, John Fox here. You should choose where to repair your car, not your insurance company. With one call, we can handle it all. Towing, rental car, and all the arrangements with your insurance company. BBB A+ rated, Bumper to Bumper Radio approved, and iCar Gold Class certified. We use OEM parts and iCar Platinum certified technicians to return your car to new. Check us out at newimagepaintandbody.com or call 480-921-DENT.
Hi. This is Greg LaFonsi of Automotive Diagnostic Specialties. Long name, right? But we have a short, simple goal. Customer satisfaction is our number one priority, and everything else takes care of itself. Bumper to Bumper Radio approved. ADS is a family-owned and operated state-of-the-art repair facility that has an expert staff that for the second straight year has earned the coveted AAA Top Shop Award as one of the best shops in the nation. Just east of I-10 on Chandler Boulevard. Find us at automotiveddiagnosticspecialties.com.
This is Bumper to Bumper, News Talk 92.3, KTAR.
Well, welcome back to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio here along with Matt Allen, and today we've got Joel Bartko from Arizona Import Specialist in Tempe. They do all kinds of Asian imports as well as all kinds of European imports, as well as just about anything. But you guys got a lot of great technicians over there. They do good work. They're down the street from me, and so Joel sometimes is a technician's technician for me when I got a problem I can't fix, like a trunk latch on an Infinity that I can't get working. I'm calling Joel. So it's good to have Joel here to help us help you with your car. We are going to go with Ronnie in Chicago. He's got an opinion on oil changes. Go ahead, Ronnie. You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, guys. Before I ask that, I want to ask Joel's opinion on something else. What do you think of an aftermarket catalytic converter with California emissions?
No good. Right,
no,
Joel?
and I know who this is now. This is a friend of mine, actually my service writer's father that lives in Chicago. But, yeah, he runs an auto shop there, and we do talk about a lot of things like this all the time.
Yeah, so an aftermarket catalytic converter, we're not going there. They just don't work. But what was you had a question on an oil change or want to make a quick comment?
Well, I was asking his opinion, and he knows my opinion. What's
Right.
your opinion on $15 oil change shops, the specials to get you in and out?
Joel's like doesn't know what to say.
We're just all shaking our heads because we all know that $15 is just a lost leader to bring people in the door to maybe sell them things they don't need and to properly do the job. None of us are there to lose money. We're there to do a good job, serve you, inspect the car, do more than just change the oil. It's not just an oil and filter change, using good quality stuff and a good technician working on that car.
Well, I'm shopping oil right now. There's Shell, there's Valvoline, there's Cam2, there's Unical, there's all different manufacturers of oil. And I'm looking at some of these different oils, and I'll take one of the big brand names. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's more than you can go. The price delivered to our shop is more than you can go buy it at Walmart, for example, for. But that same oil, and I say, how is so and so doing a $15.88 oil change or a $12.95 or something like that, and using this brand of oil? And they say, well, it's just their lost leader. No, thank you. I'm not signing up for that one as the customer or the shop.
Well, here's the problem I see is in a lot of shops, folks, are flat rate shops, so mechanics are paid based on the job they do. And when a shop's doing a lost leader like that, the technician doesn't get paid, or he gets paid a very, very small amount. So I find technicians bitter. When I worked in a tire shop, we ran coupons all the time back, when I was young and needed the money. But the technicians, another oil change, and I just felt like they didn't, because they weren't getting paid for it. They didn't really care about what they were doing. It was like, get it in, get it out.
And an oil change should be, I'm just talking to, we'll pick a car, your Nissan Sentra, your Toyota Avalon. If you're going to have a good quality master tech working on that car, Joel, what would an oil change cost your shop? It's got to be $100.
Yeah, and we lose money on an oil change. With the labor especially, I pay my techs more than I collect when I do an oil change. But their job is to look at the car and make sure it's safe, to let you know if something's coming up. We want to tell you, hey, that motor mount there is starting to collapse. You're going to need some motor mounts in 6 months. Keep that in mind because that's going to be a $1,000 repair. We don't want you to have to do that today. We want to have you ready for it. Hey, your front brakes, they're at 15% left or 3 millimeters. They're good. They're going to go good to the next oil change. So on your next oil service, next 4,000 miles, expect to be spending some money on a brake job. That way you're not shocked by it, and you're not coming in on that tow truck that we discussed earlier. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's our job to provide you with the information about the car.
Well, thanks so much for the call, Ronnie. Next time Joel's on the show, you can give us a call then, too.
Thanks.
We're going to go with Frank in Phoenix on a 2000 BMW 323. Go ahead, Frank. You're on Bumper to Bumper Radio.
Hey, guys. Appreciate you guys. That's my call.
You bet.
Hey, I'm getting some metal-to-metal noises on the rear of my Beaver. Basically, I believe I put it on the list the other day, and I believe I seen cracking on the rear differential mounts to the subframe.
Okay.
I was wondering what can I do to fix that. I believe I got to do some welding, but I'm not sure who or where to go to.
What kind of noise are you hearing?
It's like every time I hit the gas really hard or shift from from neutral to first, I hear like when the car rocks back, I would hear like metal to metal. I thought it was my bushes or shocks.
Well, that rear differential bushing on that's an E46 model is a real common failure. That you'd need a shop to do that job because the differential comes out of the car. We press that bushing in your frame with a special tool. I would have somebody look at it first to confirm that's a noise, but that's a real common failure and a job that I'd say in our shop is done at least twice a week. Very common job. No, there's no welding or anything required, just the special tools to do it and the skill that does it.
Now, Joel, there was a problem with some of the BMWs, but I don't know if it was the 3 Series. I think it was the 5 Series where the rear subframe was cracking, and they were replacing some of those under recall.
Yeah.
But that's not what this is.
No, and that was a few years ago, and that was actually how the whole subframe had to come out, and either you had it welded by somebody or you replaced the subframe, depending on if it was warranty, they replaced it. If the customer had to pay at one point, we would have them welded up.
Yeah,
but
have it TIG welded. And
yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that bushing repair is not something you're going to get done in the driveway over a 12-pack.
Well, 12-pack and pizza maybe. But if you're looking for a good BMW shop, both Matt and Joel's shops do a considerable amount of BMW repair. It's a specialty brand. It's not something you would take everywhere to get worked on. You just want to you're working with a shop that does BMW work on a regular basis. So if you want to find them, bumpertobumperradio.com. You're going to find Joel there, as well as Matt, as well as myself at Tri-City Transmission. Looks like we got time for one more phone call. We're going to go with Richard on a 56 Chevrolet Bel Air. Go ahead, Richard. You're on Bumper to Bumper
Radio.
Radio.
Yeah, how you doing? I was calling. It's actually my daughter's car. She had the front and rear seal leaking on the transmission. It's the 2-speed cast iron Power Glide. And I was wondering if you can recommend a shop I can take it to. I've pulled the transmission, but where I could take it to have them redo those seals and maybe the gaskets too, because I don't think it's ever been gone through.
There's very few shops anymore that are going to work on antique transmission, stuff like that. And every time we take one in, one like that, I got to call Leon and wake him up out of retirement and say, Leon, bring that thing down here. So less and less do we even work on them, and I don't even know if I would have a good referral for you for somebody that would be able to do that. If you send me an email at bumpertobumperradio.com, I'll try and put you in contact with a couple options, a couple shops that be willing to do that work. But it's becoming less and less guys that are willing to work on that stuff. I mean, you just don't call up the local parts house and order up seals and gaskets for it. You get some crazy codger out in California that sends you the parts in an old pizza box.
Right. And is that less and less because they pulled the transmission and the shops are more reluctant to do bench work now because you can't guarantee the install, or is that a combination of both? Or
well, it is. I mean, you can when you work on a transmission on a bench and then someone installs it, you can easily misinstall a transmission and have the front seal leak again, even though that's what you pulled it out for in the first place. So that's one thing, a transmission shop. We really steer away from that type of work. We like to do the whole job so we can guarantee the whole thing is a good thing, but also just flat out the age of it. I mean, that's an old.
Well, you say that. I have a friend of mine that's a chef, in the restaurant that he runs, they stopped doing takeout, and I said, why? Why did you stop doing takeout? He said, we were getting complaints about our food. When they prepare the food and serve it to you in the restaurant, they can control the quality of the food. I mean, we're not talking McDonald's here. We're talking a higher-end restaurant. So they can control the food. But when they make that and put it in a box for you and then let you go home and install it to your kitchen table and eat it, the French fries have got soggy by now and the salad's wilty. So if we can't control that whole repair, it's not something that a lot of people want to get involved with anymore.
So are you comparing yourself to a chef over at Virginia Auto Service?
A chef, that's right. That's right. Hey, we're providing a product, and we need to make sure it gets delivered the way we want the experience to happen. You do that transmission, and Harry Homeowner puts it in wrong.
Yeah, and he's not going to be happy if it leaks, but at the same time, I did a good job on it.
And it gives the impression that you've done something wrong when you haven't.
So it's a breakup of a responsibility. So thanks for joining us. If you're looking for a great shop to start a relationship with, like Joel's at Arizona Import Specialist, you can find them handpicked by Matt and myself at bumpertobumperradio.com. While you're there, be sure to like us on Facebook. We're lacking in the popularity department. We could use all the help we can get. Joel, tell us again how to find your shop.
ArizonaImportSpecialist.com or 480-966-5913.
Thanks so much. We'll see you next week when we talk about new technology on cars.
Sinatra fans, the Rat Pack Live come to life during a concert on Friday, March 14th at the Wigwam Golf Resort. Cocktail reception at 6, buffet-style Italian dinner at 7:30, and show at 8. Tickets $89 per person. To purchase tickets, contact Janine Baxter at jbaxter@jdmaz.com or call 602-224-2302. Make this a special weekend. Join Jerry Colangelo at the 4th Annual National Italian-American Foundation Golf Tournament. Register at www.niaf.org/azgolf.
It's the Good Guys 5th Spring Nationals in Westworld and Scottsdale, March 7th through the 9th. Spend 3 days in the Valley of the Sun with the Good Guys. Check out over 2,500 classic American vehicles in our giant show and shine, including hot rods, customs, muscle cars, and trucks. Visit vendor exhibits, shop the swap meet and cars for sale corral. Plus, enjoy free fun stuff for the kids. For tickets and details, visit good-guys.com. Good Guys, full throttle fun.
Hi, I'm Scott, General Manager with Whitey's Auto Repair here in South Scottsdale. We built a reputation for quality auto service and repair for over 45 years, and our customers have come to trust us for our recommendations. We value that trust, and that's why when it comes to transmissions, for the past several decades, we have been recommending Tri-City Transmission. They have yet to disappoint. I feel so strongly about it, I wouldn't go anywhere else. Why would you? Google them online today at tricitytransmission.com. Go where the pros go. Tri-City Transmission.
Hi, I'm Matt.
And I'm Dave.
We're the car guys from the Bumper to Bumper radio show, heard right here on News Talk 92.3 KTAR every Saturday from 11 to noon.
Bumper to Bumper Radio, it's just like your favorite warm and comfy blanket for all your automotive needs.
Yeah, I guess you're right, Dave. And we're here not just on Saturdays, but 24/7 at bumpertobumperradio.com for all the very best repair and service shops in Phoenix.
Yep, right advice, products, and partners.